This is the EVP Podcast.
Do you know that it is now season 2 of the EVP Podcast? And
Say what?
You're still listening to us. Thank you.
Of course they're still listening.
They are actually on this month and a half break that we took. I watched the listens just continue growing, even though we weren't pumping out new episodes.
Well,
Thank you.
We were sporting that out there in Vegas, man.
Yeah, we were.
We were representing.
We got several followers on the YouTube.
In fact, if you're watching, I'm wearing my shirt.
Yeah, one of these days we'll coordinate better and we'll all wear our shirts. But going with the B hood.
Are we gonna have to wear it for every episode?
No.
We
should.
should.
No,
should.
I just took a shower before I came over. I'm like, I'm gonna throw my EVP shirt on because I didn't wear it like you guys were able to wear yours.
If I took a shower before I came over, it would be weird because I don't want to shower at work.
You should try.
No, I'm good. Thanks, though.
But one thing we didn't talk about, I guess this is our first episode back with the three of us. You guys did the
This
last
is,
week's
and in
episode.
case you aren't sure who the three of us are, I'm Beaker.
I'm Ghosty.
And I'm DVO. But we during our little break, a little holiday cheer was happening. And also, we went and snuck away and watched the Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah,
We
we
did.
did.
Was that during the break?
Yes.
Or was it before the break?
I don't even know.
I don't
was
remember
like,
the time.
I haven't seen
no,
you
it
guys
was-
in forever. I felt lost.
Because we took the break and I sent a message. I'm like, we need to go watch a movie together. So we did. We watched Ghostbusters Afterlife. So good.
It was pretty damn good. Nostalgic. All sorts of
Yes.
nostalgia.
Because the last episode or last movie was at 2016, 2017.
The girl
with all the
one.
the women comedians. It was good.
Excuse me. The last Ghostbusters movie that came out in 1989.
Okay, all right. I see. I know what you're saying.
You're not counting it because it was not included in the box set.
If it's not in the box set, it's not real.
Although it had a lot of funny
Didn't happen.
moments because the cast was a hilarious cast. It was just okay. It was just an okay movie. But this movie was pretty good.
It was laugh and cry and all the good things.
You
If you haven't
cried?
seen it,
Wait, you cried?
You cried.
You damn right I did.
we all held hands and cried. Let's be honest.
DVL looks over at me and he's like, hey. He's like, stop crying. And I'm like, shut up. I'm not crying. You're crying.
He's like, it's too late. I'm like, I know.
Well, both you girls are crying. Shut up.
Hold me. Good though. It was good. Man, I totally recommend you watch Ghostbusters Afterlife if you haven't seen it yet. It was postponed, but it was worth it.
Very worth it.
All right, what else we got here? Beaker just sent an EVP to us from one of our previous investigations that we did at the Benson Grist Mill. So Shane from Bear River Paranormal, did he send it to you, or how did you get a hold of this?
So
EVP?
he listened to, he was going back and listening to some of our episodes. And on our Benson Gristmill episode number, because we don't keep track. On our Benson Gristmill episode, we talked about an EVP that they played for me while we were there, because they actually heard it audibly, and then we went back and listened to the recorder, and it was definitely there. And we talked about it a little bit. He heard it on the episode, and he hit me up and sent it to me.
Awesome. You want me to play this? It's a 9-second clip. Let me play. Hopefully it comes in good, because you were sent a recording. You forward that recording to our group message, and I'm going to play it through there. So, it's gone through some sources here. So hopefully the quality still has remained. When you sent it to me, it sounded great. So let's play here and see if you can hear it. 9 seconds here.
I heard a baby.
Yeah, I just heard a baby.
I just totally heard a baby.
Now, when you sent that over, before you can hear the people saying I heard a baby, I definitely heard a baby. Or I thought it was like a giggle, but I'm like, yeah, I can hear a
Yeah,
baby.
it's like a little kid giggling.
Let me play it again. Right there.
I heard a baby.
Yeah, I just heard a baby.
I just totally heard a baby.
You hear that?
A little giggle. So I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
play it one more time. We played it twice now, so hopefully you guys can kind of catch where it is. Right there.
I heard a baby.
Yeah, I just heard a baby.
I just
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good,
Surprising that they heard that, and then they replayed it back and they got it. That's
I mean, yeah, like I said, they heard it when it happened, and shortly after we went to review the audio, and it was definitely there.
Were
Yeah.
we there? that night?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, because it was the second potluck. Neither one of you guys showed up.
Oh, that's right.
So you weren't there. I was.
Yes. True story.
So it wasn't when we did our Benson Christmas episode. It was after that.
Afterwards.
Yeah, it was later on because this was in September,
September.
end of September, beginning of October. So it was one of those episodes. I mentioned it, but yeah, that was EVP, and I appreciate him sending that over to us so we can play it. And
Yes, thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
I'm sure. I don't know if they played it on their podcast or not, or if they're going to play it on an upcoming episode. But when you're done listening to us, if you feel like it, go check out the BRP podcast. BRP, Bear River Paranormal Podcast.
Yes. Well, anything else? I think that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
I just came back from break. I need to.
We gave you
That
guys
was
a
a lot.
Baby steps.
was a lot.
2-hour episode last week. This week it's 10 minutes.
No, Beaker, what do you got for us this week?
Nothing.
Okay, we
The
are
bell.
done.
I need to put the bell closer.
Okay.
Someone actually told me they think it's hilarious when we do the bell when we mention Brandy's name. And then she also thought it was funny when I just kind of like, it's too far away. And for those of you, if you can see on YouTube, I don't know if you can see where we had the bell. It was literally like within arm's reach. We
Yes.
just didn't feel like doing it.
There would have been a lean needed.
There's, a lean. And it was, right after we got back from Vegas. I think it was actually the night after we got back. But we were both still tired. 6 hours in the car together.
A lot
Twice.
of touching.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Really bonded.
A romantic getaway.
It was sexy.
Yeah. So no.
Sexy Vegas trip.
Sexy days. So this episode, we're going to travel back in time. Because that's the thing, time travel.
We have a time machine.
Yeah. So we're going to June 10th, 1912.
Been
all
there.
the way to Villisca, Iowa.
Sounds like a great town.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sounds
It's a great town. Nice, quiet town where you got a family of 6. You got Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, and then his children. That
Yes. Yep.
Yes,
They
they
got
had
kids.
he had children. He
Yeah.
had children. They had there was Herman, and then there was I believe she went by Catherine. There was Boyd, and there was Paul. Ages 11, 10, 7, and 5. Josiah was 43, and Sarah was 39. Now, on Sunday the 9th, they went to church in this quiet little town, this farming town. And they had a children's day pageant that was at the Presbyterian church there that Sarah actually put together.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way home, there was the oldest daughters, I believe, Catherine's, her 2 friends. They were named Ina and Lena, I believe,
Yeah.
Stillinger. And
Sisters.
that didn't live too far away. They're friends with, like I said, Catherine. And she decided that, it would be fun to have a sleepover. So she invited them to sleep over. So you've got 6 kids and 2 adults in this house. The pageant, I guess, ran from about 7:30, 7 o'clock. And they got home probably between 9:30 and 10 o'clock that night.
Mm-hmm.
And, had dinner. They went to bed. And the next morning,
They didn't wake up.
they didn't wake up. No, the next door neighbor,
Well, it's true. Don't say no. That's true. They didn't wake up.
they didn't wake up. They did not wake up. The next morning, at about 5 o'clock in the morning, their neighbor, Mary Peckham, was out hanging laundry and noticed that no one was up at the Moore house quite yet. And she thought it was a little weird. About 7 o'clock in the morning, she's out there again, noticed all the animals were still locked up. The chickens were still in the coop. Everything was still tied up. And there were still no signs of anyone kind of stirring, nothing going on in the house. So she went and knocked on the door.
So remember, this is 1912. So people basically ran their own
farms,
farm, whatever, to basically provide for themselves.
chickens, cows. I'm sure
Yeah.
they had a bunch of animals they needed to feed.
Yeah. So she went and knocked on the door. No answer. So I think one of the hands, the workers that showed up to help out on the farm, showed up, and then she went home to call Ross Moore, Josiah's brother, and let him know, hey, I don't see anyone up. This just seems a little weird. So he comes over, got a set of keys, and I guess he just happened to have a copy of the keys to the house.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, the house is locked from the inside. He has a copy of the keys. He gets in the house. In the basement there, off the parlor, is the guest room where
The two
the
Stillinger
two sisters,
sisters.
the Stillinger sisters, that's where they were spending the night. He went in there, opened the door, and found them on the bed, faces covered with clothes, and they were dead. They had been killed. And so he went back outside. Mary never came in the house. She said she stayed on the porch. When Ross came back out, he instructed her to call Hank, the local police officer,
Yeah.
and to have him come over. Somewhere in that time period or that time frame, when Hank was on his way, this news spread like wildfire. That there's murders that happened at the Moore house.
And it's probably, again, 1912. It's probably like a small town. Everyone knows everybody probably back
I think
then.
there's now maybe 2,500 people. So I can imagine only how big it was then. But
12.
Yeah,
They
there's
were half of the town.
13. Well, there was if that was the case, there was only 4 left after this.
Yeah, it's probably the 2 other houses.
We're bad. So yeah, people by the hundreds showing up to this house to see these dead bodies. So they find that the 2 sisters, the whole family, all 8 people are bludgeoned to death by an axe. They've determined that the axe was owned by Josiah. And the thing that they thought was interesting is that, first off, this is still, to this day, over 100 years later,
Yeah.
we're looking at 110 years now this year. It's still unsolved. They still have no idea who did it.
Right.
But they found a couple things that were unusual in this house. One was all the mirrors and windows were all the windows the blinds were drawn. The ones that didn't have blinds, clothes were hung up over the windows. All the mirrors, everything covered up. All the bodies covered up with clothes. Only one of them had the sharp end of the axe, and that was Josiah. He got the sharp end of the axe. The rest were bludgeoned to death with the backside of the axe. And there's even on the ceiling, I think they're still there to this day, grooves in the ceiling from when he was swinging up and the axe hitting the ceiling. And they know it happened during the murders because there was actually dust particles from the ceiling that were on the beds when the bodies were found. They also
And these houses, again, 1912, so these houses are really small. The doors are probably 5 feet tall. The ceilings are maybe 6 or 7 feet tall. There wasn't a lot of room, right? I guess I saw
You could touch
videos
the
inside.
ceiling.
Yeah, I could. My head would probably be touching the ceiling if I walked in there. Definitely Beakers.
Mine would, yeah, I'd be ducking for sure.
So yeah, and where Josiah and Sarah, the parents, where they slept, it looked like it was almost it wasn't like a flat ceiling above them. It looked like kind of slanted down.
it was slanted.
So definitely not a lot of room. So maybe that's why the killer had to give a couple good whacks to really make sure the job was done.
Well, and I find it interesting that he only used the sharp end of the axe on one of them. He used the back end, the blunt end.
But it makes sense to me though, because as most likely, right? He's the father. He's the man of the house. He's going to be the strongest. So you got to go for him first. You want to make sure the first whack takes care of him, or the first multiple.
And I'm pretty sure it's quiet. It's quiet kills too. So as he's killing, nobody's waking up.
Yeah, not a single person woke up, except for possibly Lena.
Yes, we'll
but,
get to that.
But that's weird. So I mean, you're laying in bed next to someone, they're getting hit by an axe, and you don't wake up. That's a little unusual. It's probably not as.
That's why he probably went with a sharp end first.
It's
with
probably not
Josiah.
as unusual as someone firing 6 or 7 rounds in a house, killing an entire family, like in Amityville.
Right.
Because an axe is a lot more quiet. But the fact that even watching some of the episodes of Kindred Spirits that you guys watched and then Ghost Adventures, that's creaky as shit in that house.
Yeah. So I mean, it makes sense for me. When they go for Josiah, he's going to be first. He gets the sharp end a couple times. Then you go for Sarah next to him.
Which means as he's walking through the house, it's going to be creaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably why the police estimate it was around midnight when the murders happened. So they wanted to make sure everyone's really deep asleep.
I bet you he came in and killed the 2 sisters in the front room first.
Apparently, those were the last 2 to die.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, probably he didn't even know they were in there.
Because they were in the basement. And so they found, in the attic upstairs, they found 2 cigarette butts.
So he
So
was
they think
hanging
he
out
was
there.
hanging out in the house upstairs, like smoking. And then after he was sure everyone went to bed, he came down. And watching some of the videos, the door to the attic leads like right into the parents' bedroom. So like when he comes out, he's like right there with the parents.
Wow.
And then he went in and killed the 4 children of the Moores, the 4 Moore children.
Because they're all in one room, all 4 in one room. And you know, if their ages are from 11 to 5, you know, probably one good blunt whack would probably take care of each one of them.
Yeah.
You know, with being as small as they were. And then the Stillinger sisters were 8 and 12, so still all young.
Well, I think after he killed the Stillinger sisters, I think he went back upstairs and just started going away at Josiah's face again.
How dare you assume it's a male? As a male, I am offended. You just assume all of us males are murderers? How dare you?
Yeah.
Could be her.
Could be.
She-
Highly unlikely.
Women are also capable of murder, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know, we keep saying murder because there was 2 cigarettes. They think there
There's possibly 2 people.
Possible could have been 2,
Possibly, Joe.
but there's only 1 axe used, most likely. I think it was just 1 person. I think,
Well, I think one of the rumors was...
as a detective.
Yes. Yes. We are investigators of the paranormal,
Yes.
so
Well, you'd think,
we've
okay,
been trained.
so I was thinking about the creaking floors.
Uh-huh.
With this many people living in a house, and it's not that big of a house, somebody's waking up, going to the bathroom,
Yeah.
and doing stuff. They're probably used to somebody.
Right. One of the kids wants to drink of water. Someone's got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, so maybe they're used to somebody walking around the house
Okay,
in the middle
fair
of the
enough.
night. I mean, that's a lot of people. In the
I'll
little
give you that.
Yeah,
So I can see how that could be a normal sound.
That makes sense.
And, you know, if he goes and takes care of the parents first, maybe he kills the dad first with the sharp end, and the axe is getting stuck and having those issues. And so maybe he turns it around for the rest of the family.
I like the way this guy thinks. Apparently, he's had some experience. in
As a
killing
former
people.
murderer.
As a former serial killer,
How well do you really know your brother? He's like, I was there.
no, but that
We
that
went to
would make
training
sense.
camp
Yes.
together. Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
All right, next case.
Well, and then like Beaker was just saying, you know, and then he came back to Josiah, because it seemed like the murderer killed everybody, then went back and just really did a number on
It's like
Josiah.
he had some personal vendetta against him or something. He just
Yeah.
went to town. I guess he bludgeoned him so much that like even they couldn't find his eyes or something like that. Like it was just face was pretty much just gone.
mincemeat.
They found like brain matter on the walls and everything. So yeah, that's not all they found.
What else?
The 4 pound bacon slab of bacon.
I didn't hear this
You
one.
didn't hear? You haven't heard about the bacon?
No.
Did you hear about the bacon?
I've heard of something like this a long time ago.
So
Go on.
in the Stillingers, the room the Stillingers were in.
Mm-hmm.
So with Lena, the older one,
Yeah.
that's one they think that might have woken up, just because of the way her body was positioned, and they had.
And she probably wasn't used to hearing all the creaking, so maybe
Probably not.
that probably woke her up. She, you know, they don't live in this house, so they probably were not used to all this creaking around.
Probably not. Yeah. They found what looked to have been like a defensive wound on one of her arms.
Yeah, so maybe
That's
she put
why
her
they-
hand up to block it or something.
Yeah, that's why they think that she possibly woke up. One of the things that they did find with her is that her nightgown or whatever was up above her waist, and she was not wearing any undergarments. I guess they found those under the bed. But nearby in the room, I think there was 2. I've heard it was like a 4 pound slab of bacon, and I've also heard there was 2 pound slabs of bacon wrapped in a dish towel. There's 2 rumors or theories on to why there was this bacon. One is he was planning on taking it with him, and he just forgot.
It was like in their fridge or something.
Yeah.
It's like, hey.
The other thing is, you know, being wrapped in a towel and all that, they think that it might have been like a makeshift female private parts that he was using. I guess they because her nightgown was up and she wasn't wearing any undergarments, they think that he possibly had molested her.
Yeah.
But I guess the doctors had like ruled that out, saying that didn't happen.
Thank goodness, though.
Yeah, they said that none of the people were. He didn't do anything to anybody, other than kill him. But They also found in the kitchen a glass of bloody water and like an uneaten sandwich. So it's like the dude like made himself a meal before leaving and just like didn't eat it and then just like left.
Maybe he was about to, then they came home or something. But here's my thing, right? Like, if that's there, well, yeah, that rules that out because then they would have came home and saw it. So
Yeah.
he did this afterwards. But also, like, you smell cigarettes. Like,
Yeah,
you don't
that's
think
what I've
they'd
been
get
thinking.
home. I just thought of this now. Like, why? Because when their bedroom was right next to the attic, why would they not smell that stale cigarette smoke?
I'm thinking he probably just smoked after he killed them. And
But
that was
he went back in the attic to smoke?
probably, and then went back in and bludgeoned the face. After he just killed everybody, he's probably in there smoking.
You think why was in the attic? Why not just walking while he was walking around?
Who's a serial killer here?
True, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, don't question him. He has experience.
Listen, we're gonna crack this case right now, all right, guys? We're gonna crack this case here on EVP podcast.
But yeah, maybe he, after he killed everybody, kind of going through his thoughts about everything, smoking cigarettes, and then goes, you know what? F this guy. Goes back in, and then ain't no one going to recognize his face. Goes, you don't play that. Oh,
And now I'm gonna. Oh, is that the end of the episode? Are we done?
He just confessed.
Dang it! I knew time travel was a thing. But after he did all that, he's like, I'm gonna make a sandwich, but I'm not gonna eat it.
he probably was all grossed out with himself. He's like, I'm disgusting. I'm a
Because-
pig.
no.
I'm just going to eat myself all this bacon.
Blood in the water. I can't. I'm done.
That's interesting. I didn't hear that part. I last minute I found out about the whole mirrors being covered. I didn't know about that part till like the most recent thing. That was news to me. I was surprised to hear that. Like, why?
Maybe they had bought all that bacon just recently because they're so sleepover. They're going to have all this bacon.
Probably
there.
for breakfast.
Yeah, because
I'm thinking
they
he
had
was
visitors.
I'm thinking he was gonna steal the bacon and take
Yeah.
it with him, just
Yeah.
like the sandwich, and he just didn't for whatever reason.
I am mind boggled by the whole covering the mirrors. Was that before or after? 'Cause
Well,
that'd be a
wasn't
lot
just-
more creeping around if you're putting.
Maybe
That wasn't just the
had some
mirrors though;
weird-
it covered all the bodies' faces too.
Maybe he was all weirded out, like, don't look at me. Spirits come looking at me through mirrors and dead bodies gazing at me, maybe. I don't know.
What's that? Oh my! I can't remember what that one culture believes about mirrors and like spirits being trapped in mirrors or something like that.
That's what I was kind of thinking.
Because I know at Myrtle's plantation, don't they
Oh.
cover up the one mirror?
Well, that was something else because something was
That's
happening
something else.
with that,
But
yeah.
yeah.
But I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like in some cultures, when like someone's deceased, they cover all the mirrors, and I don't know why. So if you're listening and you know why, please enlighten us.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll figure it out here in a minute. But,
And I don't know what to search. I don't know what to search for.
but it's something like they cover the mirrors so like the souls, the spirits don't get lost or get trapped in the mirror or something. I have no idea. So maybe this dude was like had some weird like religious
Beliefs.
belief.
Or heard something and was like, I don't want no ghost chasing me after this.
That is interesting. Yeah, that really boggles me why they would cover up.
Well,
Again,
there was wasn't this during the same time as the whole spiritual awakening thing with everybody?
this was 1912.
1912. It was a little bit
no,
after. The
no, that
spiritualist
was-
movement was
that
like
was,
mid 1800s.
Okay. Yeah, that was more Civil War time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So this was after that. And so maybe he's just going off of some beliefs he heard from his parents.
Maybe. It's very
Yeah.
possible. I have no idea.
Yeah, I do find
Stuff
it
is still
fascinating.
fresh. Stuff is still fresh and going on with this whole spiritual movement.
They did find the axe too. Like he left the axe in the bedroom the Stillinger girls were in.
Yep.
And it still had blood on it, but it looked like he had attempted to wipe the blood off.
Glass,
Successfully.
dirty, bloody glass right there.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like dipping maybe a
Yeah.
cloth in there or something.
Maybe.
Trying to wipe his
Usually when
fingerprints.
I'm doing it, it's like, oh, did it again.
Maybe he made the sandwich and he heard the first like knock on the door, and he's like, "I'm out."
About around 7 in the morning.
Oh, yeah, 7 in the morning. Maybe I don't know.
Could it have been daylight?
Hard day of killing. You need a sandwich before you leave. Knock
That's
on
what-
the door.
that's what-
You sneak out the
smoking
back.
Another cigarette right before he left.
Well, the police estimate it happened between 12 and
5.
Gosh, yeah, 12 and 5. Yeah.
12 and 5 because 5 a.m. is when the Mary came out to hang her laundry.
Right. So yeah, probably seen
Mary
somebody
didn't
exiting
see the family come home because she said she went to bed at 8 o'clock that night.
at a proper time.
Yeah. As we do. Open at 8. We're not recording at midnight on a Sunday. Yeah.
So since then, they think that there's a lot of hauntings going on.
Oh, yeah. There's still a lot of hauntings going on. I've seen so many videos, so many people have been there. We want to go there. I know our friend Dave wants to go there. But I think the way the investigation went down was like so interesting. The fact that
Like the court investigations for the potential
just the
murderers.
beginning, like I said, where people by the hundreds were coming through and walking through the house before like Villisca National Guard got there and like shut everything down. So there was
everybody's just walking through looking
yeah.
at dead bodies.
Yeah. Just people, they
That's
heard
what I
about
was
it and they're
hearing,
just like
but I
walking
wasn't
through the
sure
house.
exactly how that went down. It sounded pretty blatant, like that's exactly what happened. But I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people just walking through.
That's what it says on the official like website of Villisca Axe Murders.
Come tour, everybody. There's still maggots haven't came out yet.
Right? People like touching the axe and looking at it. Like
They're like,
so-
hey, want to see
like
a dead body?
pretty much all the
Want to
evidence
see
was like
6 dead bodies?
8.
How about
Eight.
8 dead bodies?
2? You've seen 2? How about 4? Well, we've got 6. Nope, just kidding. There's 8.
2 more. We got 8.
But like, yeah, possible, like all this possible contaminated evidence because people just trolling through the house.
Did you look at the people that they interrogated or brought in for questioning?
There was a couple of them.
There's quite
One
a few.
guy even confessed
Twice.
twice. He confessed. They tried him twice.
And what was his name?
That was Reverend Gene Kelly.
George.
Kelly.
Reverend George Kelly. So he was a traveling reverend?
He was like a traveling.
And he was in town this same weekend at their church. He was at their church.
He was at the Child's Day of pageant thing.
But
and
he's
he was-
also he was kind of he screwed up. He had like a mental breakdown when he was
a
younger.
peeping Tom.
He had a mental breakdown when he was younger. Became a reverend. Was on trial for basically being a peeping Tom. But he was asking like women to send him nudes and stuff like that. Like that were, I guess, it maybe in his parish, or I don't know what exactly, but anyway, he's been convicted of this, and then he's a traveling reverend, and he's like at their church, and so he was a big suspect, and he confessed, but they're like he's out of his mind, like they didn't feel like the jury, it was a hung jury the first trial, because they just like he's not competent to stand trial, he's not competent, but yet he's preaching. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy to me.
And the second,
Then they bring him back in, and it's I don't remember. He's acquitted.
yeah.
Same type of thing. They're like he can't stand on trial. And because he did confess the second time, but they said it was after like hours of interrogation that he finally just confessed.
And
But
they
he
think
confessed both
there was
times.
like a bruise on his cheek, so they think like the interrogators might have like
Beat him up.
beat him up, coerced the confession. So they kind of threw the whole thing out, and they didn't find him guilty.
And he gave good details of what happened, but they also were like,
Everybody walked through.
well, not necessarily that, but it was like, yeah, that would correlate to what really happened. So either he did do it, or he just was playing it out in his head how he would have done it. And but because he's so jacked up, they're like, "Yep, that's what someone like him would say."
Yep. Then there was Andy Sawyer. He was a transient.
Did he have beef with old owner of the house?
Nope. He was just in town that week on a job or something. People thought he was weird because he slept with his ex.
He said it was and he did. Did he threaten the court? He did. He did threaten somebody that he'd chop them up. So either like in court he's threatened, or
Yeah,
he
there
threatened
was like
somebody.
that officer or something when they were questioning him. He's like, "I'll cut your effing heads off," or something like that. But they decided it wasn't him either. But what I thought was interesting, if you watch the Ghost Adventures episode, when they are using the spirit box section, and it's, sometimes you hear those EVPs or you hear the stuff come through the spirit box and they kind of guess at what it says. To me, this one was very clear. They're like asking who this is a murderer, who are we talking to, and very clear you can hear it say Andy.
Yeah,
We
that
thought it was
was.
interesting.
We did get some. We actually had some of the recordings from the Ghost Adventures. I don't think we have the Andy one, but we have a few of them here that we can play to see if people can.
Yeah, there
Make
was one. You can hear it plain as day. It
I heard
says-
that.
It
It
says
does.
Andy.
I think that was on the spirit box, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to get into the whole because I mean this is a paranormal podcast, not a case solving podcast. So should we get into the paranormal of it?
Yes.
Well, there was one more. Like
Oh,
I
go
didn't
ahead,
want to
please.
talk about like the three main. Well,
Yes,
there's
please do
four. So there's another guy. I don't remember his name. But there was a guy that like there was other murders that happened in like Kansas nearby.
Well, you
Was it?
find it there? I got a list
It
here.
was probably this one, William Mainsfield.
Well, it seemed like there was a string across America, maybe the Midwest, of axe murders. But at the time, it seemed I didn't find it too unusual myself when I was reading that because I thought that was probably very common to have as axe around because you need firewood, you need
There was one guy that actually like I think he killed his parents. And they-
after this murder.
But there were some of them where they actually found the similar things where the windows and the mirrors were covered.
I didn't read that part.
Frank Jones was actually a local state senator, and Josiah used to work for Frank at his store. Josiah left and opened his own store, and kind of thus creating competition. So there was some beef between those two.
Well, Josiah and Sarah, the parents, they actually, what I read, they were actually pretty affluent. Like they had money, so it looks like Josiah's business, was doing fairly well, which maybe could have made Frank Jones a little jealous.
And they don't think he actually did it. They think he might have hired someone to do it.
Yeah,
And then there was like Henry Moore, no relation. I guess he was another person that was like on trial for an axe murder. Those are like kind of the top ones, the top suspects. I thought it was interesting just mentioning Andy real quick because of the EVP they got on Ghost Adventures when they're like, "Hey, who are we talking to?" And you
Yeah.
hear Andy. So
No, he says who did it.
who did it? And you hear Andy. And then there's several other EVPs, and it looks like you've got them written down here. But Ghost Adventures, I thought it was very interesting what they did in that episode when they're first like interviewing some of the local investigators who kind of run the tours. They're sitting there talking, and
in the kids' room with the 4 kids.
yeah, and the closet door like slams shut on them.
Yeah.
while they're sitting there talking.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Like right in front of their faces.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then they brought in a cop. That they also had the what was supposedly the actual murder weapon.
yes,
Because I guess the rumor is that Hank, the sheriff that had the axe, took it to like the Masonic temple and forgot it. So when he went to trial, he bought a different axe and brought that with him for the trial. And so this dude that owns this like museum there in Villisca has an axe, and he claims it's the actual murder weapon.
yeah, that was owned by Josiah.
And so they took that with them to the house, and they also brought this former police officer that lives there in Iowa or in Villisca. They brought him in for about an hour to do EVP sessions. This dude's like 100% skeptic, doesn't believe in ghosts and all that. And they had this one EVP that they heard. It was the first one they got about 50 minutes into this investigation. And it even had this guy like, he straight up says, "I didn't hear this when it happened." And this is what they heard when they went back and reviewed their,
So
their
I'll
evidence.
play it. I'll play it again. So there's 4 words. I easily picked up the first 2. The last 2 I struggled with. How about you guys? You guys pick up?
Yeah, the first two you can hear that, and
is
then the last
I
one,
killed.
the last word you kind of hear more of the last word.
Yeah. And that was the same for them. Like when they were first playing it, they would put up on the screen, "I killed," and then blank blank.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't hear it at first. And then it was like, after listening to it over and over
They
again,
brought the other investigators in that
Yeah.
investigate the house, and they
and
picked up on it.
they determined that it says, "I killed 6 kids."
So I'll play it again.
And you can hear people talking as this is going on as well. But yeah, if you just listen to the breathy sounds, don't listen to the background sounds, but you can hear it.
Yeah, I didn't hear "I killed," and the other 2, I struggled with it. I still struggle with it, but
It just sounds like a
The "I killed,"
staticky.
yeah. On the last word, you can kind of hear the K. It sounds, you can hear the K sound.
yeah,
But I don't know if that's what it actually says. You can definitely hear the "I killed." While they were reviewing this evidence, they had like a static motion centered camera
Oh my god.
upstairs. So at this point, no one in the house, right?
Yeah.
They
Because they're all like outside.
they're
in
all
this
outside.
separate
They're in a
place.
barn. They're reviewing their EVP sessions. They're reviewing their audio to see if they got anything. And in the upstairs, that door that leads into the attic, you hear some footsteps, and then that door just slams shut.
Yeah. Ghosty, talk about that.
So I was kind of seeing something in that video where
Explain when you say seeing something. Like
Well,
when
yeah,
you said
so I'm
that,
not seeing
when
it
you
with
first
my
said that, I thought you were
eyes.
talking about you saw like a string or something like that.
So when they showed that video, I was like kind of seeing a figure there, not with my eyes, but how I've talked about before.
like your third
And,
eye.
Yeah, with my mind's eye. And it looked like you see something kind of walk by and slam it. And as I'm seeing it, I'm seeing that and it's doing that, and then the door is moving. So it's kind of like playing out right in synchronicity in my, as I'm seeing it. It was pretty wild. But I see someone tall.
I have to go back and watch
Anyone
it on
seems
my
tall in
TV.
that house, by the way.
Yeah.
Right, but it seems like a really tall,
look like a giant.
skinny guy. It could be the dad. It could be, I don't know how the dad looks or how the killer would look, but it looks like a tall, skinny person, and they're kind of like, looks like they're kind of standing against the wall, and they kind of step out and slam it and walk away.
Interesting.
I'd have to go back and watch it again. I was watching it on
It's
my
probably one of the
iPad.
best evidence I've seen on the show.
It was awesome.
And I don't really remember this episode because, okay, by the way, if you guys haven't seen this Ghost Adventures, it's season 4, episode 12, so it's pretty early on in the Ghost Adventures show running.
I
But
didn't see the body. I didn't see any like.
I was gonna say that's the father.
face.
That's the father. The
it's,
mom,
it's probably one of the
kid.
best evidence I've ever encountered on Ghost Adventures, where you hear a couple footsteps and then the door just slams. The door is completely open, by the way. It's not like it's open a little bit or halfway. It's completely, the door is completely open and against the wall, and then it's slammed shut, all the way shut. Incredible evidence.
It's
It
not
was
like
really
a
cool.
90-degree thing. It's like 180s. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the word it's like a full closed or like open to like this thing. Yeah, this thing is a full 180 degrees, like you said. Yeah.
Because most doors, like, they open into a wall.
And
like,
stop
it's
at
right there at
90
90
degrees.
degrees. This was open 180 degrees.
And
the
then
wall.
completely slammed shut.
Now they brought in two sisters that were former residents of this house. And when they moved, they said when they moved in, they were younger girls, but they had no idea that murders had taken place in this house when they moved in. And they would hear like girls
Crying and
crying and laughing and things like they would hear little girls' voices. And there was 6, right? Is it 4 girls, right? 4 little girls that died.
I
So
think
there
it was
was
3.
You might be right. It was Catherine, Mary, and her 2 friends, right?
Yeah, because
others
it
were-
was
yeah,
3
so 3.
brothers. and
Yeah,
3
so
girls.
they heard 3 girls, and they would tell their parents. Their parents didn't believe and just said it was just their imagination. And then they said one time their dad was sharpening one of his knives, and it just looked like his arm as he was sharpening. He was sharpening away from himself, which most people would do. And they said it looked like their dad got pressure on his arm, and he turned and stabbed himself with his own knife. So if he's sharpening away from himself, you're not really going to come and attack yourself. So they thought that was pretty interesting. They didn't get into much detail. The sisters did not want to be there. They didn't give much more. So they even apologized. I'm sorry, I can't do this interview. Like,
Yeah, the
they
one
just-
just fled the house. The other
Yeah.
one, she's like, she had to sit down, and she just felt very uncomfortable and uneasy in the house. But I can only imagine like living in this house where there's a lot of all this negative energy. Growing
Yeah.
up as a small child.
Right. Going back to this episode, then they did a spirit box session, and a lot of things kind of came through on this. They got quite a few things. I didn't hear it all myself, but they got a lot of good stuff. They got I can't remember. They asked a question. They heard no come through
Yeah,
the
the
spirit
no
box.
came very
So again,
clear.
if you guys don't know what the spirit box is, we've talked about it multiple times down here, but just as a reminder, it's when the device is sweeping through white static noise and they're asking questions, and when you hear multiple syllables come through, that's a very good sign that there's something paranormal, because these are just sweeping milliseconds at a time through a station. They heard the word no come in. They heard the word Lena, which is one of the Stillinger sisters that was visiting.
Yeah, they asked who they were talking to.
Yeah, and they said Lena. But that was like it sounded like an older
Yeah, it
woman.
sounded like an older voice.
Yeah, when Lena would have been 12 years old. They heard "Wanna Play." They heard the name Paul, which was one of the boys, the young boys. They heard the words "Everyone's fine," and then Andy, which was the transient when they said who
When they
killed
asked,
you.
yeah, who,
Yeah, who killed
But
you?
he went by. I mean, I know it said in the court case he went by Andrew, so that's probably his full name. So I don't know if he went by Andy, if he was known by Andy. But everything I read was always referred to him as Andrew.
well, that's his proper name.
It's his God-given name.
That's-
And then they did another EVP session, and they got 5 responses. I didn't catch all of them. Some of them
Some of them didn't sound. It
Yeah,
sounds
some
like
of
more of
them,
a
like-
stretch.
yeah.
It was a stretch.
Yeah.
In fact, I think kind of all of them were stretches, but this is what they got.
This was more of the longer syllables that they try to make some sentences.
If you didn't
through.
watch the episode, this was like the time when Zach brought the axe in to the house and said, "Hey, if you want to keep murdering people, go ahead." And he kind of propped the axe up that they could right
And he
above his
laid
head.
down
He laid
on the
down.
floor. He's like, if you want to keep someone, slam this axe in my face. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
And so Nick was recording, and also they both had EVPs, and so they got 5 EVPs coming through. It was, we're gonna keep them in the dark.
And that's the thing is listening to that one, the part where it says "in the dark." I don't know if you have that one ready.
I
to
do.
play.
This one I have. I got 2 of these 5. And this is one of them.
So play this one.
Okay.
And then we'll analyze.
Show me that you're still here and you're still hurting people. You need to leave them alone.
So I played it how many times? Twice there?
Yeah,
I played it
I'll do
twice.
again.
You need to leave them alone.
The keep them, I hear pretty clear. The
You,
keep
you
them.
hear keep them, and then it's like really quick. I don't know how they're getting "in the dark" out of that. It sounds like one
Yeah.
syllable to me. I don't know how you're getting into it. Just
Play it
says
again
you
one
hear
more time.
Keep them, and then to me it just sounds like one syllable after "keep them."
Show me that you're still here and you're still hurting people. You need to leave them alone.
We're gonna keep them here. We're gonna keep them
Maybe.
here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it
Or
sounds
I
like
keep
one.
it sharp.
We're gonna keep it
interesting.
sharp.
I keep it
Interesting.
sharp.
It's literally one syllable, so I'm not sure how they got "in the dark" out of that.
Yeah.
I keep it sharp.
Interesting. Or we'll keep them here. Yeah, that's
Maybe
pretty
that's why he
interesting.
used the back end of the axe. I
Maybe
keep it sharp.
Keep it sharp.
They also got because they don't step in heaven yet.
It sounds a little
This one was
that.
stretched. That
Yeah.
was stretched.
You're gonna give up blood. Again, I had a hard time hearing that. I was like, I'm having a hard time hearing this.
Yeah, and this would be weird, like sentences for somebody to use in these situations.
Yes.
This one didn't. This next one didn't make sense.
the fourth
to me
one,
either.
Herman's gonna get you.
Herman's one of the
So
kids.
I can
Yeah.
get that. I can
I heard
understand
Herman.
that.
I heard Herman.
So I can understand something like that where he's a kid and plays games, and if
Yeah.
they know they're dead now and they're ghosts, and they're like, "I'm gonna get you," you know.
Yeah, but I heard
Maybe
Herman.
he's-
I didn't really get
Maybe
the rest.
he's a playful ghost,
Maybe.
and does butt touches.
Is that the? What's the other one you have?
And then the last one, it's a gathering place.
So
They were
this-
talking
this
about the
one-
church, I believe.
Yeah, they asked about the church, and this is what they get.
Yeah, so I got this one. It's a gathering place.
It's a gathering place.
That one I can hear. It's a gathering.
Yeah.
Maybe place is the last word, but
Right. That
yeah,
one
I could definitely hear it's a gathering.
So we can play it again.
I can see it saying place, but for me, what's really clear about this one is it's a gathering.
It's
Yeah.
a gathering for sure.
Yeah, I think it was referring to the church.
Yeah,
where
it's
they
like
were at
it's a
before.
gathering, and then the psh sound, and it could be
Yeah. So pretty interesting. Now, again, we're a paranormal podcast, so Do you guys think that the kids are still there? Do you think
Yeah.
whoever was there, they just brought this negative entity in with them? Because the whole covering the mirrors thing really blows my mind. And that's where I'm also kind of thinking that's where some of the paranormal begins. Something's up with this person's head. I don't know. It's
Quite
fascinating.
Well, I know you tried to explain it with no one waking up, and it all makes sense. But at the same time, like, let's say there is something negative there influencing them, kind of like in the DeFeo case, that's somehow keeping them from hearing what's going on around them. Like, it's a possibility that I know it's a stretch, but I think you're more accurate in your assertion. I don't know words. What you guesstimated happened.
Yep, that works. I got it.
I think that's more plausible.
Hypothesize.
That your hypothesized
Theory.
is most likely correct in what happened, but I don't know. I do know this. What I thought was interesting is a couple years ago I did this episode on my previous podcast, and I showed Brandy a picture of the house and didn't tell her what it was.
Like just the outside, the inside?
Just the outside of the house.
Okay.
Didn't tell her what it was, and I showed it to her. I'm like, hey, what do you get from this? And she had no idea what it was. Never even heard of this place before. Even after I told her what it was, she's like, I've never heard of it. She mentioned to me that there was a lot of sadness, a lot of anger, and then she's like, there's something to do with an axe in this house.
Oh, wow.
Not knowing anything about the house,
Right.
not knowing what it was that I was showing her. The fact that she picked up on, like, I remember her picking up on the sadness, the anger, and the fact that there was an axe used somewhere. She's like, there's something to do with an axe with this house. And that's when I explained to her, I'm like, it's the Villisca axe murder house. So I thought that was really interesting, the fact that she didn't know shit about this house.
It is interesting.
Did you guys just get scared? I got scared just now.
Yeah, I forgot there was other people here.
Yeah, I know. That's why I got scared. My daughter walked in.
Yeah, the corner of my eye, because there's something blocking my view, and I just see the bottom of the door open. I'm like, wait, did I just see something happen in the corner?
The door just closed on its own.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But,
I know. It had
but,
nothing to
but
do with
Ghostie's
the
daughter
actual
walked in. Is that what happened?
physical
Yeah,
person.
she
Yeah.
kind of closed the
peeked in
door.
and see-
Well, she just closed the door.
Oh.
We're loud assholes. It is 12:30 in the morning.
Because there's something blocking my view, so I just see the bottom of the door. I'm like, did something just move in the corner of my eye?
Pretty sure she has school in the morning,
Yes.
and we're kind of loud.
Oh, gosh. I got the chills because look, I still got the chicken skin. 'Cause I just saw the door move. Like, oh shit, the door just moved.
The chicken skin?
You ever heard of that?
No.
Goosebumps?
Goosebumps, yes.
Yeah.
The chicken
Same.
skin.
Yeah. same
Okay.
thing. It's all foul.
So,
I got the turkey dermis.
Yeah.
nervous. Holy hell, what were we talking about?
Yeah, I scared there for a
Yeah, I know.
second.
My heart bounced out of my chest very quick second.
Did you see her close it though?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but it was just the quickness of her popping out freaked me out. for a
Pretty sure
second.
there was
Yeah.
Like, it was-
pretty sure there was a dirty look involved.
No, she don't care.
no, she was just reaching for the door, but man, that scared me for a quick second.
Okay, all right. Back to the episode. So who done it?
Oh yeah,
Andy did. Oh yeah, so like I said, she was able to tell me stuff about this house with just looking at a picture of the house, not knowing anything about it. I know you guys watched Kindred Spirits went there. Is there anything that stood out
No,
in their
what we
episode?
watched was actually we thought we were watching like highlights of it. It was just like an internal. It was like after the investigation, they kind of talked about it. Chip Coffee was there with them. Anyway, what it was in this Kindred Spirits episode, an investigator said that he got an EVP that said kill, and they said his name, and then after that, things happened to him. Like some of his family members got sick, and some of them died. So he kind of was like, I got cursed. Chip Coffee was there, and he was kind of there. It's like, no, I'm seeing some of your family. They're saying no, it's not you. It's coincidental,
yeah.
which sounds about right. Yeah.
It's like the breakup line from Seinfeld. It's not you, it's me.
Yeah. But going back to the paranormal of the whole thing, what's your guys' opinion about the paranormal? Is it from the killer? Is it from just where do you think the paranormal comes from? Why is it? Because it seems like there's positive and negative. What I'm hearing
I'm
is there's positive and
thinking-
negative. There's still the kids there, and there's still like an evil entity there as well.
Well, I think something was there already. It could have been there already. More things could have came since then, but the family being all killed together didn't cross over and just kind of stayed there in shock because they were getting bludgeoned in their sleep. Probably didn't realize they were dead for a while, running around the house together as spirits, maybe, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and who knows how much time has happened since then, and
110 years.
110 since then. No, I mean, until they finally
Yeah.
realize that they're dead, and then they start manipulating things and messing with the living.
I think with it being such a traumatic experience and being such a violent crime, if there wasn't something negative there before, it definitely found its way there after.
Because of what the killer left behind, like the energy of the
I
killer.
think just the negative residual energy
Because
possibly brought
I believe
something
you
in.
leave energy. I believe you leave energy behind you, and you affect people with your energy. And so I think if this killer, they're just they're an evil person, obviously, and they just kind of leave some of their evilness kind of behind or something.
Think about being a spirit. Okay, you're there with your whole family, and you're all dead, and you're all just kind of staying there, choosing to stay at this home, and then some dark entity comes just moving in, and you just kind of got to make room for it.
Yeah, pretty
yeah.
much.
What would you say?
I said, yeah, pretty much. I don't know that there was necessarily something there beforehand.
Right.
There's after watching these episodes, there's definitely something there now.
Yeah.
Think about like Insidious. You know when your boyfriend Patrick Wilson goes over to the other side?
Into the further.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's just like all these other entities popping up that weren't, like other spirits that are all of a sudden there. You think they're... Oh, man, I don't know. This would be wild. So
I think
wild.
maybe something was drawn to like I said, the negative residual energy that was left from this violent crime.
Well, I just mean, imagine you being that, like, dying, and then that's kind of like what they're seeing is, as they're not knowing their spirits yet, and they're all of a sudden they're seeing other spirits just kind of
that'd be
aimlessly
trippy.
wandering around, and they're like, wait a minute.
What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, this house again, it's over 100 years old because it was built. I don't know when it was built actually, but
They bought it in like 1903, I think.
oh really? Yeah. So
So this home was pre-existing before they even moved
Right,
into
yeah,
this.
yeah.
And they were there for a few years. I don't know,
Yeah,
if
they
were there
got
for a
married
while.
like 1899, and I think they moved in the house in like 1903.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Who knows?
That sounds right.
I'll dig it.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
yeah, because they've been like around their 20s then by the time they got married. That seems about right for that era. Their 20s there. Yeah, I find it fascinating. Again, the thing that kind of threw me for the loop at the very last minute before we started recording was that the mirrors were covered. That I didn't hear that until last minute. I'm like, wait, why? Why would they cover all the mirrors and windows? When you said window, I didn't hear the window. I just heard the mirrors. Till you said that the
They closed all the
windows were
blinds and
also.
the windows that didn't have blinds, they covered with clothes.
Yeah, that one I didn't hear about.
It was all
either,
stuff
so-
that he got out of their dressers and stuff. It was all the clothes from the Moore family.
Right.
Yeah, so he spent some time there.
He was there for a little bit.
Yeah. How much time did he spend there before they left? Because I don't know what time the church activity. It
was like 7
Knew
o'clock.
it was
It was
about
like-
that time.
It was about 7 o'clock, I believe. They got home between 9:30 and 10.
Yeah, because it ended at 9:30.
And the
this killer was in there before.
The neighbor said she went to bed at 8 o'clock. So there's a good hour and a half there where he could have easily snuck in. Snuck in.
Yeah, my mind's just kind of wandering now. Like, what was this person doing? Just trying to find a stakeout point, like, because the attic was a really like an upper attic, or was the rooms also in the attic?
No, it was just an attic.
Just an attic.
Yeah, it's just interesting that this person just kind of staked out there, just kind of waiting. He's listening to them converse. They're going to bed, Yeah, it's just awkward. Yeah, it throws me for a loop. And now there's a dark entity that's in the house today. Still.
Well, and I think some of these shows, they think that the killer's still there. I don't know that I believe that.
What do you mean the killer's still
The
there?
spirit.
The spirit of the killer?
No, I don't think so either.
The killer has, who knows where they died at, the killer. And then they think that
They wouldn't go
spirit
back
went
there. No, I don't think so.
I don't
Because they
think
probably
so.
have done it before, they or after. This probably wasn't their. I don't know, but I'm guessing this might not be their only murder,
Probably not.
and so I don't know why they'd be at this one, unless it was. Yeah, Who knows
It
what?
seems to think that some of those investigators on other shows and stuff like that think that the killer is possibly still there. Because they did that, like I said with the axe, where they're like, "Oh, if you still want to kill people, kill me. Drop the axe on my face." And the two sisters that they brought in, they used to live in the house. They said that something there felt like it wanted to kill them, and so they're just like speculating that the killer is still in the house, like the spirit of the killer is still in the house. To me, that just doesn't make any sense.
No, that wouldn't make any sense to me as well. I think that either there is there could be dark entity there, or the children themselves, maybe their spirits are starting to kind of turn into like just mad, angry that they were all killed, and just kind of angry at everyone coming and bothering them. That maybe the kid spirits are starting to attack. Like the Herman's going to get you. Maybe he's scratching people.
We should go and ask him.
Let's go ask Herman.
Are you annoyed that people are coming here and asking you questions, like us?
Like scratch,
Yeah,
scratch.
what's with the house today? Because I don't think anyone's living in it, right?
No, it's
No, it's
for you to investigate. It's set up.
Oh,
It's
it's-
actually, you can I think you can spend the night there. They do tours and stuff like that. The house cannot be torn down. It was made. It was
Historic
put on the
site.
National Historic Registry or whatever. So it's a historical landmark, which is such a weird thing to become a historical landmark for. 8 people were
True.
murdered here. Historical landmark.
Yeah, that is true.
But yeah, I know our friend, like I said, our friend Dave looked into going to it a couple years ago, and then like COVID kind of hit, so he wasn't able to go.
Do you guys think that the Reverend did it? Do you have any ideas of who it was?
No.
I don't either. It's easy to go with the Reverend because he confessed twice, or 1.5 times. He was
Yes.
beat into the second confession. He gave really good details. I mean, his whole story is very awkward.
I mean, it
Well,
could have
he's-
been a
he's-
hired kill. It might have been a hired kill.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been.
And whoever killed,
so
ordered
there-
it, could have been like, make them
It was like
unrecognizable.
two politicians. One was when we talk about Frank Jones, who said that him and Josiah worked together, and Josiah started another business and took a lot of his customers with him. And there's another politician who thinks Josiah had an affair with his
Same
daughter-in-law.
politician.
Was it the same one?
Same guy. Yep, they think that he had
Oh,
an
yeah.
affair with his daughter-in-law.
Oh yeah.
So there was just a lot of bad blood between these two guys. Like, it was so bad. When they saw each other in the street, they ignored each other, basically, and just walked past. They didn't say hi. And they used to be, like, good friends when they worked together.
The other politician was linked to another murder, axe murder case.
Gotcha.
That's the other. Two top politicians. But they're all crooked. I don't care what party you're in.
Yeah, I think it could have been a hired kill. Maybe somebody that's just really good at doing what they're doing. A politician would have money to.
They know people.
That they would know people.
They're all crooked. I don't
Yeah.
know. No, I think that's the most likely of scenarios is there was a hired kill. The politician mad because the guy took his business and possibly slept with his daughter-in-law. So hiring someone, I mean, it's within the realm of possibility, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe the bacon left out wasn't even a thing of the killers. Maybe just the mom left it out on purpose.
In the bedroom.
Yep, like I'm gonna cure this overnight.
I'm going to put this in the guest bedroom overnight.
So where all the bacon goes.
Yeah, interesting. That's an interesting story. This is my first time actually. I mean, I think I've seen this episode of Ghost Adventures. Didn't piece it all together. It's it's an older episode.
Yeah, it was like in their 4th season.
Yeah.
So it was towards the beginning.
Yeah, season 4, episode 12. Yeah, pretty interesting. I'll tell you what. The best evidence for me was that door shut.
That door was pretty cool.
That was pretty
That's
creepy.
watching that again. I was like, that
And
might
it
be
just didn't like slowly close. Like it slammed shut.
that must be one of the best.
Those were the good. Those were when those Ghost Adventure episodes were really good.
That's when they locked themselves in.
Yeah, because they weren't like freaking out at things back then. They were actually being like real investigators, where something would happen and they would just be like, "Oh, did you guys see that?" And they would go over there and start checking it out. Where now they're going, "Oh my god!" And like, "Oh, dude."
Oh, like in the opening credits when he's like freaking out and he's like slamming his fist on the wall because he was being, I don't know.
Yeah,
My favorite is like when he did Family Tree Restaurant and, he starts like throwing the chairs around and acting all aggressive. And I'm just watching this like, this is total bullshit.
yeah. So those years, those episodes were great.
On the last episode, you guys talked about when you guys met the ghost hunters people.
Yeah.
And that's how you guys kind of got into the paranormal, was from that show.
Yeah.
It was actually the Ghost Adventures, the first episode they did when they were in Nevada. And they were in that little hotel and they did investigate it.
Yeah, that was their kind of like first documentary they did.
That was like one of the first things I've seen. And that actually got me interested in paranormal. So Ghost Adventures is a little near and dear to my heart because they actually got me into it.
So
That
you're
first
the reason why
episode.
Zach just walked by because you weren't there.
I know.
Yeah, he was like, oh, DVO was here, I would have
Stood us
stopped.
up.
No, he I talked to DVO. He's my man. Number one fan. His number one fan. All right, interesting story. Yeah,
It
interesting
was a
story.
good episode. Well, should we call it?
Yes.
All right, guys, we'll go see Don't Play That.
Peace out, butterflies.
Want to see a dead body? This is the EVP Podcast.